Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Again, we're working on Mr. Goblin here. And today I'm going to be working on finishing up his ear section right here. Again, I've got my Drew Blair Iwata Takumi side feed airbrush 0.18 millimeter needle and nozzle setup. Has Drew Blair's short trigger and a soft spring in the air valve mechanism, so that it's a very comfortable, the weight of my finger activates the air. You know, it's very, very comfortable. And I've already established the form and shape of the ear using basic, cardstock paper shields with different convex and convex shapes on them to get the outline. I've used a texture stencil just a little bit to establish some texture in this section of his ear. I'm going to go back in with the airbrush, and because his ear is going back and it's further away from us, the softness of an airbrush, how it applies the paint, I will go over the edges of this to soften it up a little bit. And so I'm using my base flesh tone, which was 10 drops of injury ochre, 3 drops of moss green, and 3 drops of burnt sienna. And I'm just going to lightly go over this to establish some more, shapes and values to it. After that, I will go in and I will add a few more drops of burnt sienna. I did the same thing with his nose to warm up the value of it and give it a little bit different hue to it. Because there's going to be more, it's thinner skin, it's going to be more blood vessels in that area. I will lightly go over his ear with that, and then I'll get up real nice and close and add some blood vessels to his ear, just like I did with his nose. But yeah, so I'm glad you're here, and let's get on with it. Okay, so one thing I noticed when I finished working on his ear section, and I looked at the video after I got done editing it, is, yeah, he's got a banana for the top part of his ear. Yep, looks just like a banana. So, color and everything. And I think I went a little bit too much on the burnt sienna in the end to warm it up a little bit. So what I will end up doing is going back in with the base flesh tone color and just with it overly reduced, and kind of just lightly dust in some of that color over it to help cool it down a little bit. And I will use black on the outside edge there, and I will go back in and to reshape that top section of his ear so it doesn't look like he's got a Chiquita banana for an ear. Yeah, so that's one of the benefits of, and luckily, again, I didn't go back in with black. Okay, and that's one of the benefits of stepping back and giving yourself a day or two before you finish an area, to get a second look at it with some fresh eyes before you start adding your black in. And yeah, I'm glad I caught that, because as soon as I started editing the video, I was like, wow, yep, that's a banana. Yeah, that's not good. So, and yeah, but again, this process that I'm using, it's the same process that I've used on this whole piece, is dusting a little bit of color and going in with either an eraser stick or an electric eraser and pulling out the highlights, just lighter areas, adding more texture, back and forth, back and forth. It's the same process, this whole piece so far. And I think it looks really, really good. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, but yeah, it just adds volumes to the layering of texture. It just looks more lifelike and realistic. But But yeah, and that is the benefit of, working on it a little bit at a time, and then coming back and looking at it with fresh eyes. You can see, I can see mistakes that I've made. I can see where I need to sharpen things up, or darken areas, or if certain areas the highlights are too light, or if I need to add, pull out some lighter values in different areas, instead of trying to get it all finished at once. And what I've been doing is, a couple of 3 times a week after I get home from work, I'll spend about an hour on it, and I've done it, in pieces, and it just helps, fresh pair of eyes always helps when it comes to looking at your artwork when you're doing it before you get it finished, to make any corrections. But yeah, so I've used the base flesh tone, and then I'll go in with the darker variant of flesh tone, and all it is the base with a couple of drops of sepia added to it, to darken it up a little bit, and then I went in with the base flesh tone again, and I think I just added a little bit too much of the burnt sienna to it, and it warmed it up too much, but again, I can correct that, and I'm glad I didn't go in and add my darks right away. So I'll make the corrections before that, and then I'll go back in with some reduced black, and darken up the areas that need to be darkened up, fix the edges of the ear, the form and shape of the ear, and get it to where I like it. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys sticking around, appreciate the subscriptions and the views. And if you have any questions about anything pertaining to airbrush work or whatnot, or how the airbrush is working, if you're having any troubles, please feel free to just drop me a line in the comments, and I'll try to answer those as quickly as I can. All right. Thanks a lot, you guys. I appreciate it. Have a good night.